Now in these tumultuous weather conditions, we'll have the final session for today, talking about the journey beyond product market fit. For that, we have Mr. Mehmood, who is the CEO of Knowledge Platform. We have Mr. Yamin, the Senior Product Manager, Zindgi by JS Bank. And Mr. Younus, who is the CEO of BFairs. So the last panel for today, ladies and gentlemen, if you could please welcome them up on stage.
My name is Yamin. I'm the Senior Product Manager for Zindgi, the financial app that you keep on hearing about at this event. I have here with me Mr. Waqar Azim, who is the CEO for Pixel and Senior Director for Epic Games in Pakistan. I also have with me Mr. Azim, who has joined us from Swivel, and he's looking after he's managing the Lahore region for Swivel. As you know, we keep on hearing a lot that the product is launched, everything is going well, and whenever someone plans their launch, everyone is looking for that sweet spot where everyone thinks that okay, this is the problem.
Note of the entire book.
We have Mr. Mehmood joining us as well from Knowledge Platform, CEO of Knowledge Platform. Okay, so we were facing some technical issues, as you might see with the weather and everything. So we're just starting off. Before anything, I would like you to introduce yourself a bit so that the audiences know that where do you come from and what is the line of work that you guys are currently engaged in. Yeah, please, thank you.
Assalamu alaikum, मेरा नाम Waqar Azim है. I am the co-founder of Pixel and now senior director at Epic Games. हम creative industries के लिए tools and libraries, and the goal is to make artists' life easier. Acquired in 2019 by Epic Games, and since then we've been on a path to make easier tools to increase adoption of artistry, make more people artists, make the creative process easier.
Thank you. Asad.
So, number one, I'd like to clarify I'm not on the big screen here. Beautiful lady is the one I'm substituting for, Mahasheta. She's the GM for Swivel. I am the GM for the board. Swivel itself is an organization that's majorly contributing towards solving for mass transit problems in Pakistan. Majorly what we're solving for is daily business options within the city to city, as well as for the B2B sector as well. Fortunately, we've been operating since 2019. We've seen the COVID pandemic hit us and then emerged from that as well. Unfortunately enough, as well, we're growing further as well. So that's all about the organization. Myself and my
Thank you so much. Sir, please.
Assalamu alaikum. My name is Mehmood and I am the founder of Knowledge Platform. Our aim is to help drive quality education throughout Pakistan. We serve about 600 schools and a few 100,000 kids. We provide digital content, technology and teacher training and school support.
Thank you so much, sir. I would just like to, take you through the whole panel. Why are we sitting here? So, like I said, when you start a business, everyone is looking for that product fit. For some businesses it never happens. But in your line of work, for all three of you, we can, safely say that you've been able to find that product fit. You've been able to see the market, look at the problem, identify it, and you have the right solution for it. But beyond that, that is the biggest question that, okay, once you are there, is that it for you? Or do you want to do more? Or is it an evolution? Or is it a cycle? And just to give, just to give us a brief idea that, okay, there are businesses that have thrived, but they are still struggling at whatever, stage of their business. Some are in growth phase, some are at their depression, some are just thriving, some are growing. So my question to you is that, once you have the solution ready with you and you know that what you plan to do, what you intend to do, what is the next?
Should I go first?
Sure, please.
जी तो जो product market fit है, in my mind it's a continuously evolving process. So you don't get to product. So I'm saying it's an evolving process. Forget about it and then you start building your tool. You have to continuously make sure that the product market fit is achieved and is sustained. So misconception is that we've hit this milestone and now we can start building the product. I would sort of question कि वो achieve हुआ भी है या नहीं और वो किस तरह से validate हुआ है कि वो achieve हो गया. It's obviously different if it's consumers, it's different when it's enterprise, it's different when it's, I don't know, luxury. Like luxury yacht का product market fit बहुत different होगा from an education platform, as an example. तो आपको customer के साथ engagement जो है वो शुरू से ही रखनी पड़ती है. You have to make the beta group, you have to ensure that it actually solves the problem. What are we solving? Who are we solving it for? Against what timeline? And these three questions are obviously integral to make sure that you actually do have a product market fit. Or on top of that, it has to solve. I mean, it's not enough that अच्छा customer कोई चीज़ लेने के लिए तैयार हो गया. You have to ensure that it solves a customer's general problem. Sometimes it's solving for efficiency, sometimes it's lowering the cost or the barrier to entry for a certain industry, sometimes it's increasing or improving quality of life. So you have to know कि वो क्या चीज़ solve कर रही है और once the customer has actually bought it or adopted it, maybe it's free in some cases. So downstream उसका actually problem solve हुआ भी और वो वापस आया भी दूसरी दफ़ा लेने के लिए नहीं. एक दफ़ा बेचना कभी भी काफ़ी नहीं होता. So that's my starting remark on whether it's even achieved in the first place.
Thank you so much. I'd like to take it forward to Asad. Asad, you work for Swivel and in your line of work, you already had sort of a contender in the form of Kareem with you. And when you guys were here, they were in their growth phase. Can you just ask you the same question that, okay, when you approached Pakistani market, what exactly were you trying to solve? And where did you strive with Kareem then, if I were to actually compare you?
So that's where I was going to come to. My answer to that question will be very different because we found a problem in Pakistan's economy majorly dealing with mass transit solutions for people who cannot afford the price point that Kareem was offering. Kareem and Uber collectively had solved a problem which was big enough to be solved, but yet they were not solving for the economy. There was a big chunk of universe for daily commuters who could still not afford it, were still not happy with the service quality. And we believe through the fixed network and fixed timing and the tech product that we were offering, we could solve that, and fortunately enough we did. And again, coming back to your question regarding product market fit, we thought we had it until COVID came. And then COVID wiped us out entirely. Mass commute was completely shut off. We had to reimagine everything. We knew this was a product market fit for after COVID, but we had to sort of rethink our product at that point in time for that period. We diversified our portfolio, we diversified our business. We continue to diversify our business in areas where we hadn't imagined like 50 years ago. And that's something that has helped us in terms of development of the product itself, development of the experience itself, and development of the
Thank you so much. You spoke about COVID. That's one reality everyone would want to forget. But during that time, there were certain line of businesses which were thriving, and one of them is actually online education. So, Mehboob sir, if I would like to, I mean, if you may, can you just briefly take us through the journey that you and your team have been through?
जी तो हमने हमारी जो एस्पिरेशन थी कि हम मैस मार्केट को एजुकेशन में सर्व करें तो इन सम रिस्पेक्ट्स चूजिंग द मार्केट इज अ मैटर ऑफ पैशन एंड बिलीव नॉट सो मच जस्ट which is the best market to serve. For example, maybe we'd be better off just providing something for A-level students or O-level students who can afford, maybe it's a rich market. But we decided we wanted to provide a good education at 100 rupees a child so that every child in Pakistan can do it. So before COVID, what we said was that look, a lot of schools don't have computers, internet is weak, so let's just start with one laptop per school, one projector, and then we give the kids clickers ताकि वीडियोस दिखाएं, गेम्स खिलाएं, फिर असेसमेंट करें, वो क्लिकर से हर चीज़ उधर रिकॉर्ड हो जाती है विदाउट द नीड फॉर इंटरनेट और बाद में वो इंटरनेट के साथ सिंक्रोनाइज होता है. सो फॉर वन लैपटॉप आप एक स्कूल को डिजिटाइज कर सकते हो, डेटा कलेक्ट कर सकते हो. So mashallah, this started working very well. We got about 300-400 schools on board. Then COVID happened, so all of those schools were not able to use because this was an in-class solution. But we already had the online platform, so we started doing, we said virtual campus. पहले कोविड से पहले हमारी सिर्फ 5% जो लोग थे वो ऑनलाइन जाते थे. Mostly they use in the classroom. So classroom was finished, so we turned on virtual campus and we advertised to a school that within 1 week we can set up a virtual campus for you with all your students, syllabus and so on. And we got about 1,000 schools that applied within like 3 weeks, So it was a big rush, but actually we found we could not cope, and then some schools were just applying for advertisement purposes or whatever. So, we had to go through a journey of how many schools we can take off and so on. So by the end of COVID, we were, say, serving about 600 schools. Now we're going through another bump in the journey because now a lot of parents are saying we want our kids to be face-to-face, and schools are also trying to make money more through face-to-face. So what has happened is technology has moved from the side of education right into the center. But how it is going to go forward, I think now we will go through a third evolution. And interesting that parents and students and teachers and principals think very differently. We did a survey of 14,000 of them in Pakistan. Most of the teachers and principals said Zoom is the best way to learn. You just have the child there at the same time and they're learning. And when we asked the students and parents, guess what they said? They said Zoom is the worst way to learn. And we'd rather have little assignments we can do by ourselves, self-learning. So interestingly, the COVID experience has changed because you see, with technology, you give a lot of agency to the child. Schools are not ready to give that agency because the agency in the school is with the teacher. So अब ये एक किस्म का behavioral कश्मकश चल रहा है कि where will the right relationship between teachers and parents and teachers and students, and also where is the right relationship between technology and face-to-face learning. So very interesting, and third wave, we are just starting.
Very well put, sir. Asad, speaking of challenges, I know even when the COVID was not a thing, I heard that you guys were facing a lot of problems and issues. Can you just give me some idea that at that time when you were trying to grow in the market, what were the set of challenges that you were facing at that time and how are they different from what they are right now?
Yeah, so just to give you, I'll divide that into 3 portions essentially. Challenges to 3 portions. Number 1, I think in Pakistan specifically, we do have regulation for mass transit, but it's not evolved since the early 60s. And that's something that was the major challenge that we faced essentially. Bureaucracy itself was something that was not ready for technology and a new partner and a new product to come in and sort of overtake that. We had huge problems through regulators. We had our buses shut down every other day. That was one problem we had to tackle. The second problem we had to tackle was that the user experience from the journey that Azim and Uber started off with, they had a much evolved product altogether in terms of user experience compared to what we had. We were, for a lack of a better word, much more basic in terms of product functionality, a product that needs to be offered to the customers, while the service in itself was something that was very unique and very different. And the third problem I believe that we faced was the competition that we had. And due to that competition, the market itself was not working at the right economics that it needed. All three pertaining to focus and effort, it took a lot of time. So I'll talk about product more and the others less, majorly because the conversation is revolving around product. The major teams regarding product, so we are a global company, we are headquartered in Dubai, we started off in Cairo, we are currently in 5 continents. So we have a global team per se, but the major engineering wing of the organization stands in Pakistan as well as Cairo. And the product team itself comprised of a lot of product engineers and product managers that are from Pakistan. The core consensus that we had was that if you're able to crack Pakistani market, through the product and through the product experience, we'll be able to crack any market. And that's the major reason for that was that the user sensitivity from Pakistan is the highest. I'll speak for Lahore specifically because I run that market. We have the most sensitive users in Lahore. If face a glitch, they're gone. We have the most sensitive in terms of experience users in Lahore. Price sensitivity is high in Lahore. And basis all of that, the only go-to area for a team that is based out of technology is product. And that's something we continuously focused on. Right now, I can say with pride because I've been in the organization for the last 2.5 years. I've been through the ups and downs, through COVID as well. I can say proudly that our product where it stands is competing with the Ubers and the Careens of the world right now, especially in the mass transit business. We are not there yet. While I say that, we're evolving still. There are a lot more things we need to do. But the challenges that we face, we've been able to overcome quite a few. There's still some journey ahead. We're still in the growth phase as we like to believe, because we believe that Pakistan as a market in itself has huge potential in terms of volumes as well, which we haven't even scratched the surface now. So we're still continuing to build as you mentioned that it's a continuous process. So we're still in that, and hopefully we'll get there.
Thank you so much. Okay, Waqar, I'm sure there are a lot of there's a set of challenges you might be facing in your organization as well. I mean, for the companies like Swivel and in Knowledge Platform, where one can understand the kind of challenges that they could be facing in their business. But can you give us an idea that what are the challenges that you face?
Yes, sure. We deal with industries that are very visual in nature. When we were building a product, we wanted to target the high end of that industry, games and film primarily. और जब हमने शुरू किया product बनाना, तो we sort of realized that it will take a couple of years to make this, and the quality bar will continuously, get pushed higher and higher. So एक बड़ा challenge ये था staying sort of up to date with what's happening, and just at the time of release, being there among the top providers, or in our case, we were the only providers of high quality content. दूसरा challenge for established industries ये होता है कि they're already using a bunch of tools, और resistance to change जो है वो बहुत high होती है. So making your customers understand the value and realize the value, you have to step away from your legacy methods or industry standard at that point and adopt something new. I mean that takes a lot of effort. और वो उसमें एक challenge ये होता है कि when industries use tools, they use tons of tools. So you're not the only tool in their sort of arsenal of tools, right? तो उस वजह से you have to play well with all the partners that they work with. You have to integrate well with everything else that is still supposed to work while you're replacing a small part of your their work. So that is always challenging because of the resistance from both sides कि ये change क्यों आ रहा है और इसके आने से हमारे बाकी tools तो useless हो जाएंगे या वो नहीं चलेंगे efficiently बाकी tools के साथ तो just building out that workflow with them is super important. हमारे केस में जिस तरह हमने our first client was actually Disney. They were building, they were producing Jungle Book, the movie, and they coincidentally were shooting that, or they were shooting it virtually, but it was based out of India. Jungle Book क्योंकि the storybook is India, Indian. तो उसके लिए उन्हें बहुत सारा vegetation, all sorts of environment assets चाहिए थे. जो कि we had all those assets, we hadn't even released yet, but we had to make sure कि जो भी हम content उन्हें दे रहे हैं to ship that movie that worked with all the other tools that they were already using. The one thing that we did offset was the cost for going on location, capturing those assets, or artists building out those assets. So like I said in the beginning, part market fit यही था कि it was increasing their quality, it was reducing their cost, or they were able to achieve high quality results, but they wanted to make sure that this would work in their arsenal of tools.
Thank you so much. Since we're trying to keep it a bit shorter than the usual time that we have, one last question I would like to extend to everyone here, starting with you, Mehmood. Whenever we're talking about the market fit and everything, the first question, or rather in some cases the last question that is considered the culture. That okay, you're entering Pakistan, we don't do things this way. How true has that been for you? Same goes for Civil, same goes for Unreal Engine as well. Pixel. Can you just give me an idea that okay, how much of that is true and how much of that is actually blown out of proportion? The role of culture, how do you see it?
असल में हमारे एक्सपीरियंस में कल्चर बहुत ही इम्पोर्टेंट है क्योंकि हमने ये इरादा किया था कि हम रट्टे को शिकस्त दे देंगे, मगर अभी तक we are maybe 60% रट्टा is winning, 40% we are winning. और रट्टे के बारे में भी हमने बहुत कुछ सीखा है. एक चीज़ हमने ये सीखे, आप सोचते हैं कि जब आप रट्टा करते हो तो आपकी मेमोरी बैंक जो है ना वो बहुत एक्सपैंड हो जाती है, मगर असल में जो होते हैं आपकी फॉरगेटिंग बैंक भी बहुत इंपॉर्टेंट होती है क्योंकि वो रट्टा करने के लिए आप अपने ब्रेन में एक स्पेस डालते हो जो दूसरी चीज़ों को भूलना पड़ता है, बिकॉज देयर इज ओनली सो मच यू कैन रिमेंबर. तो हमने एक आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस पाकिस्तान का पहला बनाया पढ़ाई बडी, मगर अब वही अफसोस की बात है पढ़ाई बड़ी के अभी तक काफ़ी दोस्त नहीं बने. हमने ऐसे किया पूरे मैथमेटिक्स को ग्रेड 10 से लेके 1 तक हमने एक नॉलेज ग्राफ बनाया, फिर उसमें काफ़ी आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस डाली कि आपसे एक सवाल करेगा, जो भी आप लेवल पे होंगे वो आपको पीछे ले जाएगा या आगे ले जाएगा और आपको सही सतह पे पढ़ाएगा. तो हमने कहा ये बड़ा अच्छा है क्योंकि ये रट्टा को शिकस्त दे देगा और आपकी जो बुनियाद है वो स्ट्रॉन्ग करेगा. मगर जब हमने लॉन्च किया तो बच्चों के साथ ट्राई किए, काफ़ी अच्छे निकले. जब हमने लॉन्च किया तो हमें ऑब्जेक्शंस आने लगे कि भाई मैं ग्रेड 9 में हूँ और आप मुझे ग्रेड 7 का कंटेंट दे रहे हो. हमने कहा भैया हम आपको ग्रेड 7 का इसलिए दे रहे हैं क्योंकि आप शायद ग्रेड 7 का अगर हम सिलसिला समझें तो फिर आप ग्रेड 9 पे चलेंगे. नहीं, मैं ग्रेड 9 में, मुझे तो क्वाड्रेटिक इक्वेशन का टेस्ट हो रहा है, तो मुझे सिंपल इक्वेशंस क्यों दे रहे हैं आप? तो अभी तक इसका हमने हल नहीं निकाला. If anyone has ideas, we'd love to do it, but we have to figure out a more user-friendly, a more intelligent way to break ratta. तो अभी तक हमने ratta नहीं तोड़ा. Sorry to say.
So I go next. So I come back to COVID because that honestly was the toughest time that we've experienced professionally in order whether it's driven with that. So I'll give you some context. We were competing with airlift at the moment in the same space entirely. And post-COVID, airlift pivoted to a grocery business. Swivel retained its business and sort of expanded its portfolio within the mass transit. Now, while that is very simple in terms of words to say, to execute it is extremely hard. Why? Because you are shut down to zero in your core business. You have to diversify in other businesses, and you have to survive while at the very same time have that vision of growing beyond the COVID pandemic that we've experienced. In that time frame, we had the only thing we had were people to sort of turn that around. At that time, our CEO, Mustafa Kabir, who was an Egyptian, he made that call that I will not let one single person be removed from the organization. We had 0 layoffs. No one was laid off, even though we had no revenue coming in for months. We expanded our business altogether. The trust that the founder, the CEO, Mustafa, laid on us was that if I do this, the only way we survive is that if you guys don't survive. And then that message was resonated to the teams itself, the business teams, the product teams, the engineering teams. I myself was working from home, but I was working 14, 15 hours a day, working closely with the product teams, working closely with the engineering team just to find that right product market fit that would let us survive that COVID pandemic. At that time, I wouldn't say every day was hunky-dory because of the pressure that we had. But having said that, what I believe what made us survive was the very clear values and indications and how and why we are doing this. And I think that's the cornerstone of culture itself as well. Whatever we are doing, why we are doing it, why it is that important. And then if people are with you, they will stick around and they will do great things. And that's my experience. And that's how I define culture. And even right now, one of the 7 values that we have, one of those values is that customers are the starting and the ending point of our journey. We are here because of our customers. We will not be here because of our customers. And that's what we still believe. And that's what led us to our survival and then growth beyond that.
Okay. What are we, when it comes to culture, obviously we have a cross-functional team which is based, it's not just the culture, it's the time zone as well, and multiple things that impact in your line of work. So, on an ending note, what is your take on the culture and how much does it affect you?
It's definitely super important to build an inclusive, collaborative, easy to work in culture. We've had the luxury, we could say, or the coincidence, to have a very, very distributed team. We are in the business of scanning the world, bringing everything that's out there to a digital library that any creator can use to make environments, experiences, games, films. So us wajah se we had this necessity to have staff members around the world. We've had staff and we still have staff in different parts of Africa. There's Ireland, Germany, the UK, Poland, Sweden, Finland, US, Australia, you name it. We had lots of people around the world scanning for us, producing content for us, bringing it to our platform itself. So, if you have an inclusive culture, if you have, good leadership, not praising myself here, but just saying, the entire leadership chain has to be, has to have the same mindset. I think it's been a wonderful experience having this international team, having this melting pot of cultures where everyone just comes together regardless of where they are in the world to help us get to where we want to be. उसके अलावा I think it's just important to mention when you grow from, let's say, 10 people at the time when you have let's say a product market fit for a startup to the 100 to the 1,000, it's important because it's impossible to propagate culture just by 1 or 2 or 4 people. It has to be instilled in every layer of your team so that they can operate as independent units and still have the same harmony, still have the same friendliness, still have the same drive to develop the product without being the organization being too flat.
Yeah, and when it comes to culture, I think my 2 cents on this would be that in certain cases we hold ourselves accountable for the things that people are not even measuring as a KPI, and that is a very local thing that I think happens in most of the organizations. For example, we think that if certain thing is being done in a certain way in any part of the US, Africa, or any other country, we think that they might be better and whatever we're doing is subpar. And I think it's refreshing that we see people actually clearing that notion that whatever we do, it has a good standard and it competes with whatever line of work that we're engaged in, and it's changing and that's refreshing. So yeah, as much as I'd like to ask a few more questions, I think we're short in time, and I would like to just close the session. Thank you so much, Waqar. Thank you. Thank you so much. You were a bit late, but luckily we loved you, and so thank you so much. I think we should just move on to the next. All right. Thank you so much, guys.
I think there's no better note to end this conference than on product market fit. Truly hope all